Welcome everyone to tutorial number 5. By now you've been through 4 other tutorials that are assisting you in the setup process of your particular account. Now, what I wanted to do before moving on to some of the other features is I wanted to sort of just do a summary of kind of where you should be in the setup process at this point, having gone through the 4 first tutorials. So what we've done is we've set up your account details. So we played around with this feature right here, and you should have your account details, your logo uploaded to your home screen here, your company information, and the settings that you want for your particular account all loaded in here. You should be done with that. You should have your full team loaded into the application at this point. So this was my team, or a version of my team, when I had an insurance agency. So they should all be in here. They should all have their own personal profiles at this point. You should have assigned them an email address, which is their login ID to their own account, and a temporary password. So theoretically, they should be able to log into their own account at this point. They may not have logged into their own account, being that the setup process isn't done yet, but your team should be loaded into the application here. And all of your objectives, all of your goals that you have as a business should be in the account at this point. The objectives being, with the exception of the quality objectives. We have not focused on that area yet. We will get into that in a later tutorial, but for now, all of your production objectives and your activity objectives or goals should be loaded into the application at this point. You can look at that just by clicking on the Objectives tab here, and kind of scroll down and see that they're all in there. Again, just to kind of show you guys what if you guys feel you want to edit any of the objectives, you can do that just by going into the Edit tab. Go ahead and document the objective details here. You can kind of see what I have in there for each particular objective. But all of your goals or objectives, whatever you want to call them, should be loaded in here. And lastly, your team should have all of their objectives assigned to them at this point, meaning that you have particular specific employees or team members on your staff that are responsible for achieving or contributing to the goals that you have as an organization. So I have all 5 of my team members in here, and all of them have their assigned goals at this point. So like by clicking on Claudia here, we can see that all of her goals have been assigned to her using this Job Objectives tab here. You can see that her production objectives are auto loans, bank commissions, commercial premium, health premium. All these are objectives that we've created in the Objectives tab up there. And what we did when we assigned them to her is we showed you guys how to apply value to them, essentially how to create an actual numeric goal for them. And in this case, for auto loans, Claudia's objective is going to be to obtain between 10 and 14 loans annually. And we'll look at another one here, like issued life policies. Her objective will be between 24 and 36 life policies for the year. And so all of your team members should have their objectives loaded in. Claudia was a sales professional, a sales rep. So most of her goals were around the production piece. Joe here is a marketing specialist. So his goals are, he has a couple of production goals, but majority of his goals are going to be around generating activity or generating leads for the team, being that his primary role is marketing in the office. So you can kind of see that his 2 production objectives are event leads acquired. So his annual objective is going to be 2,400, minimum of 2,400 leads generated for the year for the office. Maximum of the meets range is 3,000. Internal sales opportunities created. This is basically just a fancy way of saying you need to be acquiring opportunities to cross sell to our existing customers. And minimum expectation is 240. Top end of the meets range is 360. And then the majority of his objectives are activity-based, so bank pivots, client review pivots, customer experience surveys, health pivots, life pivots, referral requests, and some social media activity objectives in there. So A long way of saying just make sure that everyone on your before you move to the next step, that everyone on the team has their objectives loaded in, at least their production objectives and their activity objectives. The last thing I want to show you guys before moving on is I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the snapshot screen right now, but I am going to jump in there to show you one thing in particular. This is a really cool feature that is going to allow you to have sort of a one-page view of how the office is doing against its goals. And I will click on it here shortly, but what I really want to show you here is that as you've designed these goals for each team member, as you said, okay, well, Claudia is going to be writing this many live policies or writing this many auto policies. And you've done that with the concept of knowing what your goal is as an entire organization. So for mine, it's writing 500 auto policies is one particular goal I have as an organization. And the contributors to that are Claudia, Katie, and myself. And so one of the things I want you to look at when we go in the snapshot screen here is making sure that your total your combined auto production out of each team member, auto policy production out of each team member is equivalent to what your total annual goal is as an organization. So one thing I've seen before, I've seen some of our users do in the past is they have this annual expectation that they have of their agency or of their particular business of selling a certain amount of units or a certain amount of revenue. And what happens that sometimes is that they have this idea of what they want to produce as an entire organization, but when they start assigning particular goals to each team member, they fail at reaching the organizational goals. So for instance, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to have an objective of Claudia of writing 125 autos, Katie to write 125 autos, and for me to write 100 autos, with the total of that being 350. But my organizational goal is 500. Well, where are the other 150 going to come from? And so that's the idea, is you want to have some familiarity. You want to be well connected between what your organizational goal is and what each team member is going to contribute to obtaining that goal. And the snapshot will allow you to see whether your organizational goal is equivalent to everyone's collective goal, individual collective goal. So if you look at the snapshot screen here, I'll take you through an overview of the snapshot screen in a different tutorial. But what I really want you to focus on right now is clicking on this year snapshot tab right there. And what you're going to see is each goal outlined with a progress bar here. And as you start reporting, or your team members start reporting their sales and start reporting their activity into the application on a daily basis, you're going to see this bar start to move. Again, I will go into the snapshot screen in more detail, or the snapshot feature in more detail in a later tutorial. But what I really want you to pay attention to now is looking at these goals. So homeowners policies, having in mind what you want to produce as an entire organization. So for me, it was 250, right around 250 policies between myself, Claudia, and Katie. And you can see by hovering over this little icon here, the two heads, you can see who the contributors are to reaching this objective. Joe's not on here simply because he's not a producer. He's not somebody who writes new business. He's a marketer. And Laura's not on here either, being that she doesn't write new business either, with the exception of some bank. So our two major contributors here are Claudia and Katie. And what you're looking at here, the target, this is the collective goal as an organization. 264 is the collective goal. And so I know that between Katie's goal and Claudia's goal, if you add those together, the total goal is going to be 264 for the year. And again, as they start reporting their sales or results into the application, this progress bar will start to move. And that's all I really wanted you to pay attention to right now, just so that to assure that the individual goals you've assigned to your particular team members are equivalent, to, or at least equivalent to, the organizational goal that you have holistically. All right, so that's kind of where you should be in terms of setting up your account. Your entire team should be loaded in here. All of your objectives between activity and production should have been created, and each of your team members should have been assigned their goals. All right, and so I'll catch you on tutorial number 6, where we start digging into creating creating quality expectations or creating quality job objectives. All right. Thanks, guys.